Hey everyone, yeah, it's the end of the year. I actually got to see a bunch of movies in theaters, and yes, these are only about movies I saw in theaters, so streaming services don't count. I'm going to be doing the best and worst stuff. Tomorrow I'll be doing the best, so today I'll be doing the worst. Just so you know ahead of time, yes, spoilers will be said in this review. And I'm going to break this review up into two halves. The first half is going to be 10 through 6, obviously, and then 5 through 1. 10 through 6 are movies I don't want to see again, and I would rather drink brake fluid. Then watch over again. So let's get to number 10. Of course, the first movie I would see when theaters opened up in the pandemic will end up on my worst list. And it's going to be this movie, Raya and the Last Dragon. It is a beautiful looking movie, which is why it's so low on the list. And it has a mythology that's very interesting. Unfortunately, it's Disney promoting its female agenda some more. All the men are stupid in this movie or have no lines. The women are the only people who really matter to the story. And the message of the movie is so idiotic. I couldn't believe it. There's literally a scene where Raya is saying, oh, if my dad didn't trust these people, this catastrophe wouldn't happen. I was like, no, it's your fault, you fucking dumb idiot. It was 100% your fault. You befriended someone, said, hey, let me take you to look at the secret thing, and then she attacked you, and then at the end, they tried to make the bad guy the good guy, because in Disney's dojo, no woman can ever really be wrong. I hated this movie. Oh, by the way, if you like any movie on this list, it's perfectly fine. This is just my opinion. So let's go to number 9. Tom and Jerry. Where do I start with this one? First of all, Tom and Jerry aren't even the main characters of this movie. The main character is Chloe Grace Moretz, who I really like as an actress. But she is kind of really unlikable in this movie, and Tom and Jerry are just doing skits around her mission and her wanting to get a job at a hotel where she steals someone's identity. She gets one of the people fired and then rehired. She has a terrible love interest that goes nowhere in this movie. The only good thing about this is the animation is really tight with Tom and Jerry, and how all the animals are animated. It looked cool, but it was why would you name it Tom and Jerry if they're just like reoccurring jokes? They're not the main focus of the movie. That's it. Let's go to number 8. Yes, Mortal Kombat. This movie, it was a chore to get through. First of all, there's no setup for the movie. This is an origin story where you start someplace without being told where you're at. You're told you're in Japan. You have a fight between two characters you don't know about. Two characters who speak different languages. So I was like, how are they understanding each other? One speaking Japanese, one speaking Chinese. And then it goes straight into a story where I had no idea what time period we were in. For a minute there, I thought the girl was going to be the main character, not the plank of wood that we got as the main character. Oh my god, this movie's so frustrating. It was really chunky, bad dialogue. The acting sucked. And the fight scenes, this is Mortal Kombat, and the fight scenes were all chopped up to holy hell. There were times where I was literally getting a headache because they were doing so many jump cuts. There's only one good death scene, and that's the hat scene where the girl gets sawed in half. And I will have to say, Kano was actually kind of fun in this movie. Everything else was awful. This is a bad movie, and they're not getting a sequel. So that's my number 8. Let's go to number 7. Yeah, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Talk about mistakes. They tried to intertwine the first Resident Evil game and the second Resident Evil game without knowing what the actual characters are. Wesker's terrible. Leon is awful. Jill she looks like she didn't even want to be there. And it's a low-budget movie at that. Plus, it's terribly shot. The movie's so dark at times, I couldn't see what the hell was going on. Yeah, this is a poor movie. And this is another movie who does my favorite thing that bad movies do. Sequel bait. This is not getting a sequel, even though I think it made its money back because it is so low budget. But it's a mess. Let's talk. Alright, that's it for that one. Ugh. Let's go to number 6. The Matrix Resurrections. Yes, I really dislike this movie because it took all the fun of the first Matrix and really just made it into a parody. This really did feel, for the first half of the movie, like it was a Deadpool movie, except funny. Because I don't think the Deadpool movies are funny. And it felt like this is something that should have been made by Mel Brooks back in the 80s. And then the second half gets so self-serious. Morpheus is meaningless to most of the movie. Neo just... Keanu Reeves is just there to throw up force fields. The main characters are Bugs. Jada Pinkett Smith under terrible makeup because she's the leader of the new Zion. The person who comes up with the plan is this Indian woman. And then they're really working to save Trinity, a woman. And then the movie ends with Trinity beating the shit out of a white guy, Neil Patrick Harris. This feels so freaking woke, and I don't care what anyone's beliefs on what the first Matrix movie is about, and it's about transgender. I don't care. This movie sucked, and it's just like, how do you make the one, the two, but at the same time, and the movie seemed to be making fun of the other movies, especially the first movie. And I really hated that guy who played the new Morpheus, because he was just there to make fun of Lawrence Fishburne's performance. And I was like, how dare you do that? This movie was infuriating, but yeah, so that's 10 through 6. Alright, 5 through 1 are movies I'd rather drink toilet duck than watch again. No! So yeah, let's get to it. Number 5. My Hero Academia. Oh my god. I never thought I would see a show not fall or decline in quality, but absolutely collapse on itself. My problems with the second movie was that it didn't make a lot of sense and it was kind of stupid at the end and it was trying to be a Dragon Ball movie. My problems with this movie is that it literally took all the marketing and said, F you people, none of that's really going to happen in this movie. This is going to be more or less a buddy road trip with a character who is not in the show and never will be in the show. I hated this movie. And worst of all, where the second movie, a lot of it was fighting, this movie had almost no fighting in it. It really had no action in it until about the 45-minute mark, and it didn't have any action again in the movie until the very end. So instead of being action heavy with no story, this was no action, no story, boring as all holy hell. Oh my god. I will give credit to that one young lady in front of me when I saw this in theaters who actually clapped when the movie ended. And I was like, oh my god, this movie's freaking terrible. Oh my, what? How the mighty has fallen. Mighty Hero Academia is terrible. Season 5 was the shits. The second movie sucked. I thought season 4 was bad. I didn't know how good I thought season 4 was decent. It just stopped and started too much for my taste. Season 5 was awful. And then we got this movie. Oh my god, stay away from it. Alright, let's go to number 4. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. The only thing that saves this movie from being in the bottom is that it was so short. So I was literally out there. I literally walked in at 6 o'clock p.m. and I walked out and the sun was still out. This movie is so... Oh my... Can we stop? I feel sorry for Andy Serkis who directed this movie, because you can tell this movie was chopped to holy hell, because it's about almost less than 90 minutes. This is less than a horror movie. Can we stop acting like Tom Hardy can act? He's not funny. The jokes in this movie are terrible. The whole thing about the separation, this feels like 4 different movies in one. The whole thing with Venom separating from him, and then them trying to make a mic drop joke in the movie, which also came off during this whole rave party where they thought that he was talking about gay equality, was cringeworthy. Did we forget that Venom kills people because the symbiotes have to find the right person? So apparently while he's jumping from body to body, the movie completely forgets that those people are dead. I hated this movie. The best part of this movie, in all honesty, was Woody Harrelson. Him and his affair with, or his love for Shriek, was easily the best part of the movie, and it got the least developed. I hated this movie, but at least it was slow. At least it was fast. Like, it was over before I knew it. I can barely drink my soda by the time this movie was over. I know a lot of critics like this movie. I hated Spencer. I was bored through it. This is British dry talk and posh talk at its worst. I didn't care about anything. There were some interesting takes on it, but I was just so bored. Kirsten Stewart, I know a lot of people want to get her nominated for Best Actress. No. Every time she had to emote, she just sounded like a teenager throwing a temper tantrum. And I get it's supposed to take place over 3 days, but there wasn't a lot of content. And she just like looked really whiny in this movie. And this movie, it's less than 2 hours, but it dragged. I was sitting there fighting not to sleep during this movie. This movie sucked. There was, other than a couple of good camera angles, with the lack of contents for this movie, I really hated it. And that's and there's worse things. It's a different thing to be dumb, but it's worse to be boring. And that's what Spencer was for me. So yeah. I'm here, it's a reason. Ooh, I'm here, it's a reason. Licorice Pizza. I'm still flabbergasted that people are okay with a movie about a 25-year-old go-nowhere girl who's a pedophile, and she is a pedophile because she went out with a 15-year-old at first, and then dumped him because of what he said to her family, to go out with another 15-year-old. Seriously, swap the genders. I guarantee you, no one would be talking about this movie in a positive light. I don't get it. I was literally sitting there as this go-nowhere woman who is 25, is trying to make this 15-year-old jealous. Legal age, 25. Illegal age, 15. What is so difficult to get about this, how poorly this movie is done? And it's not even that difficult. She doesn't look that old. Make her 17, like I said in my review. Everything would have been fine. Also, there's an appearance by Bradley Cooper. While it is funny, it goes on forever. And I just wanted it to end. Yeah, I really dislike this movie. I don't know why anyone likes it. Like I said, make it a 25-year-old guy crushing on a 15-year-old girl. And let's see what the critics say. Alright, let's go to number 1 now. Dear Evan Hansen, holy smokes, I cannot believe a movie that's a musical that's relatively sung well, shot well, is so tone deaf. And I'm not going to make fun of the main character because he looked not 16, he looked like he was in his 20s. That's not the problem. The problem is Evan Hansen is an emotional terrorist in this movie. He lies to everyone. All he does is he wants to go out with this girl who her brother committed suicide. And he lies to her family, who's grief-stricken. He lies to his school so he can get everyone else on board. But the problem is, even exasperated by this movie, is everyone else is unlikable. The guy who committed suicide used to freaking terrorize his sister. Everyone in the school is a jerk to everyone else. There's this one girl who her whole idea is she wants to plant trees. And she uses the death of this guy to get that done. And then she's the one, by betraying Evan Hansen's trust, that undoes the whole plot. And then on top of it, yes, there's more. There's a song scene with this character who had committed suicide. There's a song number with him and the main character, Evan, where they're dancing and joking, while Evan and his friend, who's only his friend because his parents are friends, and who openly mocks Evan, are writing fake letters to give to the parents of this kid who committed suicide, who is just finding one reason or one excuse to think that their son was good. And then he gets off more or less scot-free. And it has this whimsical ending where we're supposed to be happy that he gets better. No! You can't get away with that. There were so many times in this movie where I was like, my mouth was open and I was like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe you want me to feel good for Evan when he's been nothing. I can't find anything to be good for anyone in this movie except for the grieving family. And they're the ones being taken advantage of. I hated this movie so much. So yeah, that's my worst 10 movies of the year. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments below. If you think I should have replaced one with a movie you really hated, also let me know. Yeah, tomorrow I'll come back to you with the best movies. So that should be a lot of fun. Until tomorrow, bye.